Friday coming at you full bar. Lily Zhao, Brandon Cruz, Tim Van Voorn, the Fox 6 Sports Blitz. October baseball. It is relevant. The Brewers are a part of it. Here's our starting lineup. You can know that the Diamondbacks coming on for the wild card round. That gets going in Milwaukee this week. We go one-on-one with Brandon Woodruff. Dame time in Milwaukee. Damian Lillard is here. Bucks get set to get going for training camp. The Packers have some time to think about their Lions loss. And we'll roll on through as we have the Fox 6 Sports Blitz on tap for you tonight. Started off with the Milwaukee Brewers. Brandon, you were there for the regular season finale, which means what in the grand scheme?
That this team is excited with where they're headed and know that now this could be a very special year. In fact, Craig Counsell, after the win over the Cubs today, saying that this is a time to make memories and it could be very magical because he believes he has that group that can go very far. And this team now knows these 162 games are behind them. It's 0-0 and everything starts now, and they know everything is short. You can't look at a big picture. It is every at-bat, it is every inning, it is every game.
And that is now in the rearview mirror. It's all right, but the playoffs are ahead. It's the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's the first matchup here. The Diamondbacks, the 6th seed in the National League. The Brewers are the 3rd. Diamondbacks get that last wild card. How do you see this series at first blush?
It looks like it's going to be not the easiest series for Milwaukee, but again, these are teams playing in the postseason. Again, when you look at their body of work in the regular season, Milwaukee going 2 of 6, or they won 2 of the 6, I should say, against Arizona. But they're kind of built pretty similarly in terms of having good starting pitching, good defense. I think the only difference now, though, is that this Diamondbacks team saw a Brewers team back, before the All-Star break, that they really couldn't hit the ball. But I think this Brewers team is a little bit different in that regard. So their hitting has gotten a lot better. That being said, again, if they can break through in that first game, which fortunately the series is at home, I think they're going to be in a good spot, though. I think the two teams are pretty similar, but I think the Brewers have the edge now with their hitting. We've seen how the Diamondbacks have kind of struggled there as they kind of limp into the postseason, having lost 4 straight.
Sure, yeah, how old some of this video is as Luke Voigt striking out there. This series is a best of 3. It's a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and if necessary, Thursday night, all at American Family Field. The Diamondbacks had to kind of fight to get in right down to the wire. The Brewers had clinched their spot with almost a week to go, and you were out there for that clinch. Does that make a difference?
It does. I think it really does on paper, because what you're looking at right now with the Diamondbacks is their starting pitching isn't lined up like the Brewers is. Their ace, Zach Gallen, won't be able to go in Game 1. Most likely will go in Game 2. And when you look at that right there, that puts them in a position where their ace has to wait. So they now have to kind of put their pitching staff at risk going against the Brewers offense that has now really started to turn it on in the last 40 games. And when you see the Brewers offense do what they can, then all of a sudden Zach Gallen might be the stopper that the Diamondbacks are looking for on Wednesday, whereas the Brewers will have Brandon Woodruff, who will be going for the clinch. They also have Corbin Burns going on Tuesday. So right now the Brewers pitching is lined up, and with Brandon Woodruff there to possibly clinch for them on Wednesday, that would set them up for the next series very well.
Interesting stuff, no question about it. Does put pressure on Game 1, though, knowing the Diamondbacks would have some good arms in 2 and 3, Lily.
Exactly. And, do they rely on their youngster, Brandon Pfaadt? We'll see. He hasn't pitched against the Brewers yet this year. But, again, I think the Game 1 really set the tone at home and kind of put the bats in play and see what you can do, right? Again, this is a Brewers team that believes it can make a deep run in the postseason. What better way to kind of knock out the first punch there against Arizona in Game 1? I think they have a really good chance to, because, again, it gets a little bit tougher with the arms that are going to be available for Arizona in Games 2 and potentially 3 if need be. So I think, again, having this series at home is going to be pivotal for this Brewers team, and the way that they're hitting now makes me believe this team could be doing something special.
Jace Peterson on the Diamondbacks roster. Any tough roster decisions you see for the Brewers shaking this out?
I think what they have to figure out is how many pitchers they leave off and how many additional offensive players or defensive replacements they keep on, because that is where you're going to make the big difference for late inning moves. And I think that's where Matt Arnold and Craig Counsell are looking to figure out, okay, what is our best strategy and what are we looking for if we have a lead in the 7th? Where are we going with our next player?
We certainly know Brandon Woodruff will be on that roster. He's been on postseason rosters before in Milwaukee, and we caught up with him this week. All right, Brandon Woodruff has been in the playoffs with the Milwaukee Brewers before, so is this old hat or is this great?
Oh, God, it's great. It never gets old. I mean, it's for me this year, I'm looking so forward to being able to pitch in the playoffs and just trying to help win games, man. I feel like we're so close to getting over this hump. It's 5 out of 6 years, so I feel like we got a good shot and we got a great team this year, and it's so yeah, really looking forward to it.
Hard to compare, not trying to compare. As you said, the sample size has grown here. There have been a few shots at this, but there really seems like an interesting vibe, a kind of a contagious vibe this year. Is that the right read from the outside?
Yeah, it's honestly it's a lot like 18. I mean, we had a great group where it was very selfless. Guys were playing for each other and trying to just win each and every day, and that's what we got going on here this month. And you know what, that's how we've gotten to this point, is everybody pulling for each other, and it's gonna, you know, once you get to the playoffs, that stuff right there means a lot. So just playing for each other and going out and trying to not look too far ahead, but just, you know, trying to win the day.
Baseball is a long season, no question about it, but you miss so much of it, Brandon.
Yeah.
How tough was that, and how much now do you cherish what lies ahead for you personally?
Oh man, missing 3.5 months or whatever it was tough. The worst part is just not being out on the field and being with your teammates, and you know, whether if it goes good or bad, I mean, you want to be available and be out there with your guys, and you know what, it was unfortunate. And that's part of baseball, right? It's stuff. That's the bad part that kind of comes with it. But I tried to be real diligent with the rehab, knowing that we've got a good team and a good shot to make a deep run in the playoffs, and I really wanted to be a part of that. So I'm thankful that I'm healthy and feeling good, and now getting ready to gear up for playoff games. So that's all you can ask for, and you just try to go out there and do your best.
We hear and we talk about, as though we're experts, Brandon, pitching's going to decide the playoffs. And, you know, it's so big, and the Brewers have this big advantage with 3 or 4 or 5 good starters. Mm-hmm. Are we right? Is that what it's going to come down to here? Does it come down to pitching in your mind?
I think it comes down to playing good baseball at the right time, whatever that looks like. Whether if it's pitching, whether if it's scoring a lot of runs in a night where the pitching's not that good. That, however it looks to win a baseball game, that's what's gonna make the difference. So playoffs, everything's kind of on the table, and you're just trying to win games. So whatever that looks like.
But you want that ball with the stakes that high, do you not?
Yeah, of course. Any competitor would, and you know, every guy on this team wants it to be like that. So yeah, of course. You know, when the stakes are high, that's when as a competitor you want to play.
The sport of baseball lends itself to people talking about it and conjecture and analysis and all that stuff. And you seem to me as a guy who just kind of blocks a lot of that out and just plays. Yeah. Has that approach benefited you, and does it help a team or guys this time of year when there are so many potential distractions?
You know what? I think, and I'm human. I'm like everybody else. I'm not oblivious to what people are saying. It's just whether or not you pay attention to it. And for me, I try to do one thing, and that's go out and just try to focus on each pitch. I try to prepare myself for the outing, and then just go out and pitch and see where I'm at the end of the day. And you know what? There's always going to be chatter, whether if you do good or do bad or whatever it is. I think it's just whether or not you block it out or not and don't pay attention. And I think I do a decent job at that, and just go out and try to just play the game of baseball and leave it at that.
We can't leave it at this. It's time for you to participate with the FOX6 Insta Poll. Please check out the code right there, or go to fox6now.com and weigh in on this simple question: who wins, Brewers or Diamondbacks? We definitely appreciate Brandon Woodruff's time. Nice perspective there, no question about it. Want to see what you're thinking about this upcoming series.
Hey, Milwaukee, what time is it?
Dame time indeed. Media Day tomorrow. Bucks open training camp on Tuesday. Lily Zhao, you'll be down at Media Day tomorrow. What do you expect to hear from the newest Buck? Well, I guess he's not the newest Buck anymore. Campaign coming aboard today. But Damian Lillard, who was welcome to the city, at least there with the rally on Saturday afternoon.
Sure. I kind of want to hear, you know, he talked about maybe one guy that he would want to be on his team to win a playoff series. He said it would be Giannis. So I want to say, hey, what does this 1-2 punch of Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, what will that look like for the Milwaukee Bucks? And how will that kind of change the landscape in the Eastern Conference? You have to believe this team is NBA title favorites, or maybe Eastern Conference favorites, despite Drew Holiday going to the Boston Boston Celtics. But again, he just adds such a different offensive scoring weapon for this Bucks team. You know, you have the inside threat with Giannis, and you have the outside shooting from Dame. I think just with the star power he has, bringing it to Milwaukee, you saw the amount of people there at the rally who waited a long time to see him. But again, just the ability he provides on the offensive end is going to be kind of, you know, unseen here in Milwaukee. So what he adds to this team, the veteran presence, all that good stuff, is going to be really fun to see. I feel like ticket sales will be up in themselves this season. Spreading
the floor for sure. Drew Holiday officially traded to the Boston Celtics today. He had been moved out for Damian Lillard. Bucks are ecstatic about getting him. Bucks fans seem ecstatic about getting him. Lillard publicly wanted to go to Miami. Now he's in Milwaukee. What do you make of that?
I think that he's looking around and saying, okay, this team laid it all out for him on Saturday, had all these fans waiting for 4 hours just to see him walk from his car into the building. and that, I mean, even though it might have been difficult for the fans who had to wait there in the Deer District for that long, for Lillard, that might have meant a lot. Like, hey, this team tried to get all the fans out. They welcomed him with open arms. The city has done that with many athletes and really tried to show their appreciation for them coming to this town. I think Giannis is going to help that. I think Chris Middleton will help that. So I really think that what will happen now is just getting him into the position of how this team works, and we're going to find out in about a week because that's when the preseason starts.
Yeah, it comes awfully quickly, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, Bucks basketball on tap right around the corner. We're going to talk about a little Green Bay Packers football as well. It's rare that that's kind of a past tense deal, but that's where we are this week with the Pack. Plus, we're coming right on back. Stay with us.
I was telling everybody go home. You feel me? I was like, go home, man. Why y'all still here?
That's a good question.
I mean, give me a little, prep time for a question like that. It's a little cold for butterflies to be out right now.
Okay. Yeah, it just ruined my night.
We're going to be doing this the whole way to the World Series. We got 4 more of these after the wild card and after every series after that. So I think just coming out and having this after a win is just, it's so fun and it's just something you want to do.
Like a baby bird right there trying to be fed, and you've got the veteran pouring the beer, you've got the rookie trying to catch it. That's really, how much fun is it to see a team celebrate a first win?
It looked like a blast to be in there, and they look like they're practicing for more.
A couple more.
I think he's learned. We'll see if he gets to do that again this week. Let's move on to the Packers, who have now hit the quarter pole basically in their season. They're 2-2 following a pretty bad loss to the Lions. You guys were both up there. Tim, I'll start with you. Where are they at this point at 2-2 as a whole and as a team? What are you seeing with where they stand at this point?
I think 2-2 is a positive. I think that most fans would take that at this point. I think the Packers themselves would have taken that at this point. You have an up and down football team. It's a young football team. You have ups and downs in the games you've played, even within the games you've played. I think we saw that against Detroit the other night. So bad in the first half offensively, showed a few signs in the second half. They obviously have things to work on. They've overcome some injuries to key players. They obviously have an injury situation that's lasting going forward now with David Bakhtiari. The Lions are a good team. I think the next couple of games are telling games, though. You got through this at 2-2. All right, where are you going to take it?
Where do you think they need to improve to be able to beat the Raiders a week from tomorrow?
I think they kind of have these common themes, right? You saw the offensive line kind of hold up well without David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, and they just get punished against the Lions. Can they keep holding up and protecting Jordan Love? And also, what is going to happen with the run game, either the run defense or the rushing attack? That's been slow on the roll on both sides of the football. Can they stop the run? Can they run the football? I think that kind of will determine where this Packers team goes, because again, we know Jordan Love can sling this football, and then on the other end you have the Raiders and Devontae Adams, who certainly will make his presence known on Monday Night Football. But again, can this team run the football? Can they stop the run? If they can't get those areas fixed, it's going to be a little difficult to kind of grind out some games or try to save some games with your defense on the field. So those are some of the things that I kind of would look at for this Packers team to kind of work on with a mini bye of sorts. But again, it's can they build upon the kind of mini successes that they had in this game? like Tim mentioned, and can they not let this win break them, quote unquote, and just move forward and be confident and keep playing Packer football?
We've talked about, the positives and negatives. There are holes in all aspects of this team right now. When you look at the offensive line has struggled a little bit. Jordan Love hasn't had it easy. The defense hasn't been able to stop the run very well. Special teams has had a punt return. There are penalties on all sides of this. And then on top of that, you have coaching decisions. You look at what Matt LaFleur had to say following this loss to the Lions, and it seemed like he was putting a lot on the play calling and the decision making by him and his staff. Is that something to be concerned about as you look forward? Because they're the ones that are supposed to kind of have a grasp on this and put their players in a position to succeed. And
LaFleur sounds tired of the run defense problems as well. So where's the blame going there? I do think the coaching staff is on this here. I think you'd grade the defense differently than the offense. I do, at least because of the experience on the defense and what you're trying to get the offense to do. The special teams is just a question mark this season. The punter's been pretty good, other than the one punt return, and Anders Carlson has been very good. But I think the coaching is the stability. Coaching is constant. They've been there now for multiple years. They've won a lot of football games. I think these players are looking to those coaches to kind of give them the guidance and set them up. And so, again, I think this next middle part of the schedule is going to be particularly interesting. Lily called it a mini bye, if you will. There's a lot of time to get ready for that Raiders game. That's a team that's not very good. If you're Green Bay and you're serious at all, you have to go in and win on Monday night, in my opinion.
When you also think about that, and is there pressure with that? Because you've had this time. You're going up against an opponent that isn't very good, that is also having all kinds of problems within its locker room in belief with one another. They should be winning this game. But does that add to the pressure of a team that now has some young guys and some injuries to deal with as well?
I think so. I think this Packers team in the past have come out of byes and looked sluggish. So can they avoid that this year and come out with a very good game plan and good execution and no penalties? I think that's going to be the most important thing, is just get those fundamental things down, come out with a good game plan, try to get a little bit healthier. But yeah, I think the pressure is on Green Bay because, the Raiders are not a good team. The Packers want to be a good team. The pressure is on them to win. And another primetime game, they kind of want to flex their muscles and say, hey, let's forget about that Lions game. Let's move on, beat the Raiders in primetime and go from there. So I think the pressure is on them.
I do think it is strange that we're just a couple years removed and we're really not talking a lot about Devontae Adams and the Packers going head-to-head. A lot of other factors have created that as well. Well, let's check in on our Instapoll question. Remember, just go to it by scanning this code or going to our website, fox6now.com. It's simple. Who wins? The Brewers or the Diamondbacks? Right now, about 3/4 of you think it's the home team going to get out of here and head to L.A. We'll have more of your answers at the end of the show. We're talking a little more football when we come back.
Welcome back. The high school football season is inching closer to postseason play, so let's take a look at our play of the week from Week 7. It's from our Fox 6 High School Blitz game of the week between Greendale and Greenfield. Panthers QB Landon Lopez airs it out to Trevor Picago for the 35-yard touchdown. Greendale would beat their rivals by 2 scores. The regular season is almost to its end, and for Week 8, here's our Fox 6 High School Blitz lineup. Our game of the week, Berlin versus Port Washington. We'll also have Milwaukee Bradley Tech and Milwaukee Marshall. Pewaukee versus Pius, Menominee Falls versus Sussex Hamilton, University School and Brown Deer, Homestead and Cedarburg, and a lot more. And we'll have a look at the week ahead. That's next, so keep it here.
Fox 6 Blitz Instant Poll comes your way every Sunday night. We appreciate your participation. A lot of you rooting for and projecting at least the Brewers to win the playoff series.
And it all starts Tuesday at home against the Diamondbacks. Corbin Burns goes. Wednesday it's Brandon Woodruff. If they have to go Thursday, all the games are at 6:08 at American Family Field. If they win the series, they go to L.A. on Saturday.
Meanwhile, the Badgers coming off their bye. They'll see if they can continue their winning ways in the Big Ten. They are at home against Rutgers. Early kickoff at 11 a.m. from Camp Randall Stadium.
Media day tomorrow for the Milwaukee Bucks. Training camp starts Tuesday. Milwaukee Admirals training camp starts this weekend as well. Throw a little hockey in there. And cue the speculation about Craig Counsell's future.
I'm very, because a lot of talk about the Mets because David Stern's going there. And today he just said he's focused on the here and now.
Will it be a big storyline in the playoffs, Craig Counsell's future?
I'm sure it'll be talked about plenty.
I do. I think so. I think it's going to be talked about nationally, and that will filter down here as well.
No question about it. So it's all coming up. Everything gets magnified in the playoffs, including what's going to happen in the future. So that's part of what makes it so much fun. We appreciate Brandon Woodruff joining us again. For Lily, Brandon, Tim, have a great week. Enjoy the baseball.